This is the first ever episode of the Am and Ann podcast. We're talking about Everything All at Once today, directed by Daniel Kwan and Daniel Scheinert.
Correction, it is Everything Everywhere All at Once. Yes.
Thank you for that correction. Initial release was March 11th of this year, 2022.
Yes. And it was distributed by A24 because it does really remind me of another A24 movie, Lady Bird, that came out 2 years ago. But yeah. What do you want to talk about?
I feel like we could talk about the main message of the movie. Or rather, just give me your initial impressions.
Well, it is quite a bizarre movie, but at the same time, yeah, I like the philosophical message of it, I guess. So yeah, would give it a 9 out of 10.
I think the movie for me, it meant I really agreed with the messages in the movie, so I would give it a 9.5 out of 10. There were a few parts in the movie that didn't sit quite right with me. Some of the comedy and some of the effects were a little bit crazy.
Well, that's the style of the era, I think so. But yeah, but at the same time, I feel like maybe we both saw different messages from the movie. That's why I feel like, oh yeah, I agree with some, disagree with others that you might think is the take-home message. However,
right. So here, spoiler alert for anybody who has not watched it. This is your chance to watch it before we go any further.
But yeah, I definitely do think that this is a movie that you should not be spoiled. Just to watch the trailer and be utterly confused and go in the theaters to watch it.
Yeah, I definitely, from the trailer, you can't tell what's going on. It's a mix of sci-fi and Asian culture and
Kung
fu, just everything all at once.
Well, I watched the trailer, when it just came out, and I feel like it was around the time that, we also watched Shang-Chi, and then I kind of just felt like, oh my god, Michelle Yeoh is just out here trying to get the money from Hollywood, and I saw the trailer and I was like, this is gonna be a shit movie. I truly believed.
I honestly didn't think much of it as first. I'm normally the type of guy to go for stuff like, I think Harry Potter's Fantastic Beasts is showing right now, the new one, the third one. I normally go for stuff like that, the bigger names.
Yeah, we almost watched that movie. I'm glad we did not.
I am now glad as well that we did not. This one was quite good. It was surprisingly well done.
Yes. But yeah, going back to the main message, quote unquote, of the movie. Yeah, what do you think was your biggest takeaway?
My biggest takeaway from this movie is that nothing matters. So do what you want and say fuck it, because we're just hold on, wait. Swearing?
Huh?
Swearing, yes or no?
I think it's fine. Okay. Yeah. We're at this age, guys.
We're of this caliber.
Yes.
But yeah, just say fuck it and then do whatever you want because nothing matters anyway. I think that's generally the sense I got from, I guess, part of the middle of the movie, towards the middle, where they were talking about how. Now I'm just losing the words.
Yeah, but especially when there were just rocks, I feel like.
Yeah.
It's kind of yo, we're not even sentient beings anymore at that point.
Right.
Yeah, I see your point, But at the same time, first of all, I don't really agree with that message because I do think that that is a irresponsible way of living life. And honestly, I don't think that you even live life that way. I think that you're such a responsible person, so I'm kind of surprised that that was your biggest thing. But like for me,
well, it was more so to just talk about how it's like if you have something that you wanted to do and then you just didn't, find the courage to do it, or like didn't find the time to do it. Now is probably the time because it's not going to do itself, and since nothing matters anyway, you might as well go and do it.
Yeah.
So it's a good message, if only to like brainwash you into doing something, being productive or anything like that. So.
Yeah, I feel like the end point of like my biggest takeaway is the same, but then like how I like arrived at that conclusion is a little different. Like I just felt like seeing how they can jump from so many like multiverses and kind of experience everything like all at once. It was kind of like nowadays, like especially with the internet, with so many opportunities, we literally can do anything. And like we have all this like unlimited potential. But then if we just focus on all of the things that we could have become, like we are just like broken and like dead, like the daughter of the movie. And so like the conclusion is kind of similar as like, yeah, we should just live in the moment and try to do the things that we want to do rather than get so hung up on all of the latent potential like that could have been.
Right. I always thought that like there was, you mentioned the daughter in the part about like where she dropped out of school and then like got tattoos and then like became I don't know, found out that she was a lesbian. More on that a little bit later, but it's just a little bit interesting to me because that's like a big part of like everyone's I don't know, I feel like it's just more common these days where people kind of just drop out and then like kind of they need some time to like find themselves before continuing on. I know that like for me that was definitely the case.
And same. I am a 20-something that dropped out of school thrice, and I have 4 tattoos, so I can strongly relate.
Also, we're both Asian, which is
well, even more so, specifically Chinese. But yeah.
Could definitely relate to the Asian themes in this movie. I mean, I remember that one time where like the mom tried to say something sweet to her daughter and ended up saying, "You are so fat."
Like, eat healthier.
That one was
classic.
Oh, it was great.
Yeah, especially because like your mom just focuses on like you and your sister's like stomach, and I'm just like, oh, like your stomach is getting rounder. You can't be like this.
10 out of 10.
It was like the accuracy, yo.
That happens in real life, yes.
But yeah. But, like, that also kind of made me think, like, did this movie have to be Asian? Like, is the Chinese-ness of this movie, like, integral to, like, the main message that I was trying to portray? Like, if the script is completely just written in an American, like, white family, like, does it still work? What do you think?
I think it could definitely work. You'd have to swap out some parts, though. So, like, definitely the parts about not understanding English, that might not work if it was a white family, like say born in America, raised in America, and all that. You definitely need some kind of immigrant element to like, I guess, experience that kind of struggle where you don't understand the language. However, it could just be, it could be fine in the sense that like, you could have it as another, I guess, ethnicity, sort of, and then just substitute in, like, Kung Fu for whatever martial arts,
Brazilian, I don't know, wrestling
you
or
could have,
whatever,
like,
yes.
Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu,
Yeah.
Just like the classic, but...
Yeah, but I still do think that, like, it is important that it is an immigrant story, Although I do think that it is quite cliche that like everything is all about race nowadays, but like the whole thing about like they moved to the US to chase this dream kind of echoes with the unlimited potential thing that I think about. And I just feel like because they're like in America and then like they own this like laundromat, they're gonna like do this business like when they were young, like the flashbacks. That is kind of like a, I guess, quote unquote unique like immigrant identity thing. And that how like the first generation kind of like immigrants clashes with like the second gen of like people just, you know, exploring their sexual identity, having tattoos. Like that, I feel like the clash wouldn't be as big, I guess, or I don't know, destructive in like a completely white family. But.
Yeah. I mean, about that laundromat story, I mean, how did they have the money to like buy out a laundromat in the first place? That's kind of confusing. Like they're just like, we own all this. It's like,
Yo.
I don't, like that's that's a whole story. That's a whole like. And then when I heard about like laundromats, like they should make like decent money. I mean, I was like thinking about that kind of business, especially back then. But I'm not entirely sure. It's probably not related. But I just like to point that out. It's like, how did they
fact checking?
How did they have
not
that
realistic?
But yeah, the pull yourself up by your bootstraps kind of immigrant story. I mean, they definitely had a lot of the Asian culture there.
Yeah.
But yeah, just like immigrant culture, but yeah, specifically Chinese.
Yeah, your laundromat comments, I also kind of like thought of how it was like the husband showing the wife saying that we own all of this now. So then it kind of made me think that it's like the husband who worked so hard to get them to that point. But then in the beginning of the story, the hustling person is the wife. So then it's like the roles have changed somehow between the, I don't know, 30 years of like managing the laundromat, which is also quite interesting.
Right, so the husband was from Taiwan, and I assume that he initially got to America and he like worked decently hard for the ability to like open a laundromat. Knew English, I guess. Was able, like, the husband seemed like he was able to communicate way better with everybody else, like in the show or in the movie. Because he was always trying to like damage control and like just calm down everyone after the wife just like yells at everyone in frustration because she doesn't really understand what's going on. She's also like getting into multiple different realities at the same time, so it was a little tough. I can understand, but yeah.
But at the same time, I do think that like how they wrote these two characters, like the husband and wife, is kind of like the husband displays a lot of like feminine qualities, if you will, like the like pacifist, like trying to make everyone happy, trying to make everyone calm down kind of thing, and like just smile, happy sprinkles everywhere. And then like the martial art and the fighting like aspects of like this duo is like the wife's role, which is kind of interesting.
Right, and even in the beginning, I know before we even started the podcast, you were talking about how it was originally written for Jackie Chan, like Evelyn, the main character, Michelle Yeoh's role was originally supposed to be for Jackie Chan, but it got canceled due to scheduling, so then they just changed up the gender roles a little bit, they changed up the sexes of the characters, and then now, basically, I mean, I felt like the first fight scene was still pretty cool with the husband.
It was so good.
Yeah, the alpha husband, like, with the fanny pack.
Oh my god, yes.
Attacking everyone.
And I kind of love how it's like the alpha husband, like they live in the alphaverse. But yeah, like it also, speaking of the alpha husband, like I was a little annoyed that like Michelle Yeoh's character, Evelyn, like she was so dependent on the alpha husband at first. Like she would just freak out whenever the alpha husband left, and like she's like left with the quote unquote like normal version of the husband. And then it just made me like doubt the integrity of their relationship. It's like, she wanted this ideal version of him who's like tough and like who can do kung fu with a fanny pack. Like, oh my god, it was awesome. But then it was like, but why are you so unhappy with like this actual version of who you actually married? Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, part of the reason I think why the husband wanted a divorce in the first place was just because probably he wasn't being heard. It was definitely shown in the first like couple of scenes in the movie, like he was just getting ignored. She never had any time. He wanted like a little bit of romance, and he's not getting it. So I could definitely see like she's probably been ignoring him for like years, just like that. I don't know, like just he talks, she talks, and then she just doesn't hear him or anything like that. So it's a little bit realistic, I would even say.
Yeah.
So
Can relate. But yeah, like it's also interesting about like you saying that the husband wants romance. Like I just feel like they both want romance. Like how Evelyn was looking at the TV of like the I think like Indian girl and like the white dude like on the TV like dancing and like going to kiss and whatnot. That's her idea of romance. But then like the husband's like idea of romance was like seeing the old like Asian couple kissing at the IRS office, and then it's just like what they expect in a relationship is actually just quite different.
yeah, throughout the movie though, the husband and wife's I think his name was Waymond and Evelyn. So his name was Waymond. Michelle Yeoh's character was Evelyn, both wings. So I think they just developed the relationship a little bit deeper throughout the movie. It was just revealed that the husband's actually like kind of useful. Like he kind of inspired her to look beyond herself, which is I think one of the main messages of the movie, because in the beginning she was very self-centered, kind of big ego. She was busy all the time. She never had time for anybody else. But then towards the end maybe, she started like caring about other people, and maybe that's like sort of how she got it under control, a little bit, when she started splitting off into multiple realities.
Yeah. And then it's kind of like she also saw the different potentials of who her husband could have been. It's like he could be the alpha if he were in that situation. He could be the lone wolf rich dude who like went to her like movie screening but like is still a bachelor waiting for her. Like he had that potential. It's just that this version of him is not like that. But then it's kind of like, I kind of just wish that she would still love him regardless of knowing the different sides of him. Like, she would just accept him for who he is, like, in her world. But yeah, maybe I'm thinking too much.
Yeah, she was, like, in all those different worlds, they were all together, and, except for that one where, she had Deirdre. I'm tripping on the word.
I can't read the name either.
Deirdre, or something like that. Deirdre, yeah. Deirdre, yes. I just had a little bit of a spasm. But yeah, she and Deirdre was like a sausage hand lesbian couple or something. But yeah, other than that weird one where they play piano with their feet.
Great, by the way. Yes.
Yeah, generally, she and her husband had a developing relationship throughout the movie, which is a little cute.
But you see, like my point is that I feel like that isn't cute. It's just like we are only seeing these snippets of like the universes that they kind of ended up together, or didn't end up together, but still had a thing for each other, right? But then the thing is, like with multiverses, it is that because of the butterfly effect, there is an infinite amount of multiverses. Like, they're all the parallel universes that are, like, happening. So then there is an infinite amount that she and him ended up together. And then there is also an infinite amount that they did not end up together. Maybe they didn't even, like, meet each other, right? So then I just feel like with Infinity, like, you cannot, like, have, like, a ratio. It's like, oh, most of the time they ended up together. Like, that's just not a fair thing to say, like, mathematically.
Right. For the purposes of the movie, we just mainly looked at the universes where they ended up together and had like the kid, which then led to the kid like going crazy, psycho, and kind of bleeding out all over into the other universes.
Yeah, when did you realize that it was the, like, daughter who was, like, the villain of the whole show?
Pretty much immediately. I mean, it was not hidden or anything.
Yeah.
They did not hide it, so it was just once you knew. Yeah, basically when she was just first shown, you basically knew. So.
I really liked that. Like, I like that they didn't make the whole, like, reveal, like, a big reveal for you to, like, realize, oh, it was her all along. That would have been really cliche.
Yeah, so they didn't actually do many of those reveals at all. It just kept on going, you know? Like, it was just like, okay, this happened, now this happens, now this happens. They didn't, like, make a big show out of it. Nobody was, like, gasp, you know? It didn't go slow-mo. So it's just like...
Or it did go slow-mo in certain parts for, like, other, like, aesthetic choices.
Yeah, just meant for, like, this thing is... it was really great. Honestly, this movie was a 9.5 for me just because, in the end, like, the wife kind of realized the husband was, like, a good guy, and then he was, like, yeah, he was just trying really hard, and then, like, in his own way, and then she just sees that, like, it's not all pointless, because she actually doesn't know, like, she knows everything about herself, throughout all the universes and everything, but she doesn't know anything about, like, what other people are feeling, so it's just, like, the husband gives her like a little bit of advice, like just be kind because you don't know what the other universe is feeling. That was really touching. I feel like that was my main takeaway.
Yeah, like, I do think that after, like, hearing you talk, you focus so much about, like, this couple, and, like, to me, like, I do care so much more about just, like, Evelyn, and then, like, secondary was, like, Evelyn and her daughter. And then I was actually kind of worried at first, like, if it's going to just be, like, Lady Bird, the other A24 movie that I love, that's like, oh yeah, like, the mother has so many, like, expectations weighing on the daughter so that she broke. And I was like, oh my god, that will be so, like, overdone, and I would be, like, so not for it. But then I was kind of glad that, like, it was a lot more, like, dynamic and complex than that. So, I was relieved.
Yeah, the mother-daughter relationship was a little interesting. I mean, I'm sure, like, all Asian kids can relate. Like, you're just getting pushed very hard by your parents for, like, not for no reason, but just to an excessive amount compared to the culture that you're raised in. Yeah. But it's pretty common, it's pretty typical, and then she just ends up breaking into multiple realities. She's pushed a little hard in one reality, and that just bleeds into all the rest.
Yeah. And I almost feel like after watching the movie, I keep on feeling that this is just a metaphor. Like, it could just be all in their heads kind of thing. Like, it is just a story about this immigrant family. She's trying to, like, not get fucked by the IRS, like, doing her taxes, getting audited, kind of. But then it's like, oh, at the same time, she is also struggling with a divorce, possible divorce, and, like, oh, her daughter is just, like, not having it with her. Like, she wants to be independent, she wants to be, like, a lesbian and live her life, right? And then, like, at the same time, there is, like, oh, her father that, like, they have to live with, like, the grandpa who's just, like, stern and, like, does not understand English, right? And then, like, this is all in her head, and then, like, all of the drama was just, like, in one day, all of her thoughts, but in a fantastical way, kind of thing.
That would be very meta, because then it would just be like a big imagination type thing.
Yeah.
It's pretty crazy. Yeah, I mean, if we take it like that, then it's definitely like the messages would be like, how can you reconcile all these like individual thoughts with like all your wants, all your desires with like what you feel and perceive like the desires of others, like her daughter or like her husband even. And then she just has this war inside her mind. Literally, like the bagel of everything doesn't even make sense, but it's like, sure.
I love everything bagels. And yes.
Yeah, the everything bagel.
Yeah.
It's like, wow.
Oh god, this is like maybe tangent, but like it just like also made me feel like, oh my god, the other main message that I took away from the thing is like how I feel like everything is about how even like in reality and in these like multiverses, if they're like actually happening, because it is actually sci-fi, right? That we just seek out each other. Like we, no matter how much like the ones we love might hurt us because they know us the most and whatnot, like we still try to find them in the different universes. In like real life, like the daughter still came home like with, you know, her girlfriend and whatnot, even though like she fights with her mother like so much. And also like the husband and wife, like they met so many times, even in the universe that they didn't end up together, like the husband still like sought to like see her at the like screening of the movie. So then it was kind of like, I feel like that is also one of the main messages of the movie. It's like, no matter how much we're hurt and whatnot, we still like have that need for human connection and something like that.
Yeah, it was a lot about human connection actually, because like you just see the relationships kind of unravel and develop between the mom and the daughter, and even a little bit of the dad. Like she kind of tries to break it to him, and then she's like trying to let him know, like he's trying to let her know like how much it hurt him to like try to kill the daughter or kill his granddaughter every single time. It's like, yeah, that's pretty deep. It's like really sad. So yeah, when she asked that, he was going to kill her, but he ended up not, and then I kind of forget what happened after that scene, but all hell basically breaks loose, and then
the whole movie is just like all hell is always breaking loose. Like whenever something kind of good happens, like, oh, it seems like they're gonna win or they're gonna like, you know, run out of the building. Like no, like someone's gonna stop them. Like at some point it's like, oh, is it the people from the Alphaverse? Like the grandpa is like now. Hello? Yes, finally. Okay, technical difficulties. But going back to my last train of thought, it's just like how it's like either the grandpa with the alpha people, or it's just like Joy with her basically like cult members, if you will, are like trying to stop them like at every point. So then it's like it was just hell everywhere.
everywhere, everything, all at once.
Yes. You made the joke again, and you got the order wrong. It is everything, everywhere, all at once. This name is kind of like...
It's a little confusing.
It is very...
I don't know.
It is like a good representation of what the movie makes you feel.
You can't really blame me for that one. I tried.
Yes, I know. But yeah, I do think that the movie, as bizarre as it is stylistically, like the message is something that everyone can relate to, and it is quite like a philosophical, not just philosophical, like many philosophical questions about like basically how to live. What should you pursue? What should you spend your time on to live your life? How can you live a fulfilling life? It was like very like existentialist.
Yeah, it just felt like the world that she was in didn't matter because there were so many other worlds that she could jump to. It seemed it was really weird. Like they die in one world and then she just pops up in another world and continues as, you know, whatever, and then
It was infinite.
it's just infinite. Yeah,
Oh, yeah.
like infinite worlds, infinite everything. And the daughter didn't even seem evil at the end. She just wanted to die.
She's not evil.
Yeah, she just wanted to die.
Yeah, it was just like annoying to see that, like, everything was happening. You have infinite amount of potential, which means that none of them matter because it's infinite. Like, everything is such a small fraction. It's not even like fractionable at that point. So then even if you die, you don't die because you can never die. The possibilities are still like out there.
Right, and I believe she thought that she could die by going to the bagel.
Yes. The bagel's like the black hole.
Right, it's just a black hole. She just like gets sucked up into the everything and then like just kind of disappears. But I'm not even sure if that would work. But
yeah, that it is questionable. It's like you don't even know what the bagel is actually.
Yeah, it's just like I don't know. Generally, bagels are snacks.
Yeah, I was like thinking, is it like trying to be like Morbius somehow, like space, like how like, you know, the bagel is a circle, but you know, like how that's also a circle. Like this is a circle, like in this plane this is a circle, and in the like vertical plane it is also like circles. But then that was like just meta, like in my brain. And I was like, oh, is it like a Morbius like loop somehow? So then it's like you can never escape from it. The logic is illogical. But I don't think it was that deep. I just think I thought too much.
Right.
But yeah.
True.
It's the ultimate suicide.
Yeah, it would be. So, what did you think about the effects?
Well, the visual effects and special effects, like, hold on. I've seen on YouTube, there was, like, a video about, like, how, okay, it's not a low-budget movie, but then it is true that all of the, like, effects are made by, like, a 5-people team. Like, it was, like, tiny, and then everyone just had, like, a huge chunk of work that they had to do, and it was, like, really creative. Like, there was, like, that one scene that was just, like, literally, like, Evelyn and her husband just, like, talking in a truck, but it was, like, recorded in 3 different locations, like, in Paris, in LA, and in, like, some other studio somewhere else. But then, like, it was just seamlessly, like, put together.
Yeah, it just seemed like everything was really seamless. It seemed like it honestly gave off the impression that, like, if you only have 5 people doing something, each person handles a lot of the work, and it's very seamless transitions because they're there from start to finish. So there's no cuts, like there's no weird stuff going on, except the translations sometimes. So yeah, sometimes there weren't subtitles, I think.
True. I would worry about like our fellow non-Chinese speaking like audience members, like, oh, do they actually understand what's going on? Hopefully they do. But yeah, like stylistically, the effects were crazy. Like, sometimes it was too much. Like
the audio at certain points was a little overwhelming. I couldn't like understand anything that was going on. So like, not only like could I not understand what was going on in her brain, I could also not understand what she was hearing or anything like that. It was just kind of all jarbled. So I don't know if that was on purpose or what, but like generally movies aren't like that, I think. So it's just
yeah, it's an indie film. Like they're being experimental. Like I would say, like give them the benefit of the doubt, and it is on purpose. Yes, meta.
working as intended.
Yes. But not meta as in Facebook. I'm sorry. Now I'm like so worried about using words like this. Oh lord. But yeah, I do think that I like overall the audio design and especially music because like it is like dissonance, but at the same time like familiar in a way. It's like sometimes they would just like freaking just throw out Claire de Lune, right? Yeah, and then you're just like, everyone knows this song. But then it's
I don't know that song.
Yes, I know. But then it's just like that mixed with like a lot of like experimental, like, I don't know, is it just like distortion or just like environmental noises? Like, I kind of like that. It's like the feeling of familiarity plus like the this is jarring. I'm scared. This makes me like anxious kind of feeling.
Yeah, I agree. I mean, there's a lot of parts in the movie where it just felt a little jarring,
Mhm.
a little anxious.
Yeah.
Also, I felt like some of the parts, like definitely in the near the middle or something, when I think her name was Jawaki or something, something
Well,
like that.
Joy's other, I
Yeah,
guess,
Joy's
identity.
other persona,
Yes.
the evil one,
Yeah.
got a little spooky, you know?
Oh my god,
like,
it was scary. It was scary.
like she just, I couldn't watch at certain points because it's like, what the, like she's just like creeping up on you, trying to kill you. It's just like, come on.
Especially because we just watched JoJo the previous night, and then like the second episode of season 6. If anyone is watching JoJo, yes. But yeah, like the whole feeling of like, oh, can you trust her? Can you not? Like, is she a good person? Is she not? And like, oh, you don't know. And it was scary. Like the first half of the movie was scary, I feel like.
Yeah.
And then it became really like, I guess, like heartwarming at the end.
Yeah, it was just a very spooky movie at first because you just kept on getting into weird situations that like you wouldn't know, and then like, oh, do this, do that, and then like, oh, you got a demon like chasing after you like, with like a bagel. Like, I understand what it was afterwards after I saw the bagel, but like they drew a circle on top of their head and stapled it.
Oh my
like,
god, that was so
my
scary.
God.
Oh my god.
Dude, like, if you see an old woman, draw a circle on her head on a post-it note, and then staple the post-it note onto her forehead. You just run. You just run.
Just
yeah,
run.
like you have no answer to that. That is unbeatable.
Yeah.
you can't do anything against
It
that.
was really like, at first I was like, oh my god, I would hate this movie. Like, okay, very beginning when I just saw the trailer, I thought I was gonna hate the movie, and then like watching like the first like half or something, I was like, oh my god, I will not understand it, first of all, and second of all, like, it is so scary. I cannot do this. And then when like everything, like all of the loose ends were tied together, I was like, yes, this is like legendary. This is great.
Yeah, the first half of the movie, I would say like it was still interesting in that like if you could follow all the things that were happening, like the weird things that like
And
Alpha,
it's necessary.
yeah, Alpha Wang was like doing. It was good.
Yeah. And I just feel like it was necessary to kind of like establish that kind of unease, and also just keep you intrigued, like, oh, action, and like, oh, fear. Like, I kind of like how they kind of went with the, oh, there is a big bad. Like, there is a big bad in this universe, so then you have to defeat this big bad, right? And then it just sounds like any other, like, superhero movie.
Exactly,
kind of.
like you are the chosen one.
Mm-hmm.
We are here for a reason. We need your power. You know, it's just
Yeah.
It's pretty cliche. You know,
Yeah,
that,
it feeds
you
into
see
that.
that a lot.
But, like, then it kind of, like, ran with different things. Speaking of running with things, oh my god, Rakakuni? Or Rakakuni?
Rakakui.
Oh my God.
It was so good. Like that was a comedy.
Yeah, like, the thing is, I do not usually like, quote-unquote, American comedy, if you will. Like, I don't know, like, Marvel movies, like, oh, everyone says they're so funny.
Ratatouille was Disney, but yes.
Yes.
Yeah, go on.
Anyways, like, I'm just saying, like, usually, like, I would just, like, feel like, oh my god, people who laugh at this are stupid. What the heck? Right? However, I just feel like the raccoon was so good. Like, I'm just, like, laughing and crying, like, the second half of the movie.
The thing is, the raccoon was so large. He was just hiding under the hat the entire time. You just see, like, a massive raccoon on his head controlling him.
Yeah, it's just so good, like, the setup and, like, the eventual, like, what do you call it? Setup and, like, payback? No, what do you call it again? Oh my god.
The setup and then punchline.
Oh, kind of.
Kind of.
There is a better
Yeah, there's a better one.
term for it. But, yes, like, it was, like, she first, like, said it when she was basically trying to, like, duct tape her daughter onto the chair, and she was like, you know that movie, like, Rakakuni? Or Rakakuni? I don't remember, like, what exactly.
Ratatouille.
And then it was just like, first of all, you just think that it's like a throwaway like punchline, like, oh haha, like this immigrant mother does not know, isn't cultured enough to say a word like that correctly. Haha, so funny. But no, it keeps on coming. It's the gift that keeps on giving.
They just go with it even more.
Yeah.
You just don't understand, like, oh, you know, like they go with the chef route, like the chef uplink where she just becomes a chef. She like plays with the knives. It's like, okay, yeah, I get it. She has like knife superpowers now.
Super teppanyaki.
Yeah, she's a pro at that. And then like you see her like getting. She's just not as good as the raccoon.
No, you don't know.
The other guy, you just don't know.
You don't know. Yeah, you don't know.
Not as good as the other guy, so things are going wrong. You know, like, she's her life is going bad, and then suddenly, one night,
oh god,
she sees the man without his head,
and it was so good. It was gigantic.
It was a fucking large raccoon. Just on his head.
Yeah, and then it doesn't stop there. The thing is,
it doesn't stop there.
The best thing about it is
better.
just like, it's just like, and then it becomes like a touching story of like, you know, her like helping the dude. Like, well, she exposed him, but then like she was like helping the dude to like chase back the raccoon, and then it was just like, oh yeah, like. I will pull on your hair, and then like she became the raccoon.
You become the raccoon. Yeah. Now I will become the raccoon.
Yeah.
Let's go.
Yeah, and then like you freaking like try to rescue the raccoon as he just like hangs in the cage and is like just waiting to be saved. It was gold.
Amazing.
It was gold.
Was the raccoon able to be like? Did it speak? I think it did, which is like
scary.
Really weird.
It was
just, like,
scary as fuck.
Yeah, I just like. The raccoon speaking is a little.
Yeah. But like, oh my god, the comedy was great. Like, I did not know that I would actually like enjoy it as like, oh my god, this is so funny. Kind of like enjoy the movie.
The thing is, like, I believe there's a lot of Asian traits in the movie, right? So I think there's a little bit, maybe not American comedy, but definitely more Asian.
I don't know. It's just maybe I'm not a comedy person.
Well,
period.
Definitely the Asian jokes were very funny.
Yeah, that was like so like just Asian American.
Yeah, exactly. So that's what made it really relatable.
Yeah.
Once you're loosened up, you're ready for the raccoon.
Yeah. Oh my god, the raccoon. It's like I get rave about the raccoon like every day. It was just, oh my god.
And then you're ready for the foot piano.
The foot piano was touching somewhat, and then it was like, oh yeah, can you play something for me? And I was like, oh, their love, kind of. Well, also it's like the potential, like in this universe there are enemies, like, oh, she hates her so much, but like in another universe it is possible that they can even like live together, become lovers, and it's like, I kind of like that kind of feeling of anything could happen. You never know.
Yeah, it was pretty wholesome. It's just in all the universes, like, even if she's not together with the guy, like, she just finds someone. Like, it was actually kind of crazy how, like, her universe, like, she was the worst version of herself in every single universe possible.
Yeah.
She has failed at every single point. And even then, her life wasn't that bad, you know?
Yeah, her life was not that bad.
It seemed a little crazy how, like, even at your worst, you know, it's not that bad, and you can, like, she can, like, become the best because, like, every single universe, she's, like, able to adjust to or something like that. Like, if she was from a higher universe or, like,
yeah, she wouldn't be, like, hung up on, like, what she thinks her talents are. Like, she would just, you know, be like water. She can be in any shape she wants to be.
Very kung fu.
Yeah, very kung fu.
Very Confucius say.
Well, it's very Bruce Lee.
Oh, right. Be like water.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, this is good. I mean, yeah, I generally like the movie.
Yeah, like, there are parts that, like, again, stylistically, I don't agree with. Like, it was very phallic at parts. The whole, like, anus.
The two dicks.
Oh, the two dicks.
And then the anus.
Yeah.
Oh, my God.
That, I feel like, was so unnecessary. Maybe, like, someone, please give us, like, I don't know, literature reviews, I don't know, Freudian explanation of that, and I will gobble that up. But right now, I don't understand why.
I thought it was hilarious.
I thought it was not funny and unnecessary. That's why I would like minus point.
It's more like I feel like that stuff happens more like it reminded me of Scott Pilgrim a little bit. I don't know if you
I don't know what that is.
right. So Scott Pilgrim was like it's just a little video gamey, you know. It's just like that was definitely a video game scene where you just like go into you just become some kind of like I don't know. It was a little kung fu scene.
Nah, you see.
You sit on the dick.
Oh my god.
Maybe you have special powers after you sit on the dick. Yeah.
That like reminded me of a movie that you definitely did not watch because you do not like indie movies. Like, Sorry to Bother You, the one with Armie Hammer, because he's so hot. But anyways, that movie, like, that like was what I was afraid of. Like, it was so like social commentary meta, if you will, that, and then like stylistically like just like fantastical, bombarding you with like just like stimuli. That was what I was worried about, and then that reminded me of that movie so much. But other than that, this movie was like gold. Everyone should watch this movie. We should all, I don't know, love each other, spread compassion.
I agree.
Connection.
I concur.
Yes.
Well, I mean, that about wraps it up. We could probably end on that note. I also agree that this movie was pretty good. I don't regret watching it.
We gave it a 9.5.
9.5.
You've never given anything 9.5 and you're like, oh, pretty good.
Pretty good.
Yeah, no.
Pretty good.
Lying. Okay.
Alright. Well, that about wraps it up for the first episode. We're just going to be uploading this wherever we can. With minimal edits. We'll just see how it goes. Thanks for watching. Thanks for listening.
Yes. Thank you all. Goodbye.
See ya.